These are the faces of the Saints, the men who play professional football in New Orleans, men who make up the youngest team in the National Football League. In 1971, the expected inconsistency of youth gave way to the unexpected as the New Orleans Saints, more than a third of them rookies, led a youth rebellion that time and time again shocked the football world. The story of Archie Manning's first season is a story of a unique success, a success that will benefit the Saints for many years to come. As predicted, he quickly learned how to best use his heralded passing ability. But perhaps more importantly, he learned how to shock open a defense with unexpected dashes from the safe haven of his passing pocket. His runs switched on a new light in the Saints' offense and frequently left defenses defenseless. But in his often reckless struggle for victory, Archie Manning also learned of the bruising reality of professional football. At times, there was no escape. His irreplaceable contribution in 1971 was his rock-ribbed desire to win. But in search of victory, he too frequently ran headlong into injury. In the end, he was to miss more than one half the season. But Ed Hargett stood strong behind Manning. He too produced a unique story of success. Occasionally hampered by pain of his own and always fighting the odds, he was a grim competitor, fulfilling the hopes of any coach to have a competent second quarterback. In the youthful confusion of 1971, he was a great improviser, and he carried the weight of a team through much of the season. Without his leadership, the frequent loss of Manning might well have been catastrophic. But in only his third year, he proved to be a steady leader, and he was named the Saints' most valuable player. In front of Hargett and Manning was the most improved part of the Saints' attack in 1971, the offensive line. Number 50, Jake Cupp, had his finest year, but was denied a deserved Pro Bowl appearance. In addition to Del Williams, there were newcomers John Didion, Glenn Ray Hines, and rookie Don Morrison, all teaming to keep the defense at bay. Danny Abramowitz has emerged as a super receiver and was the Saints' high man for the 5th straight year. He has now caught at least one pass in 64 consecutive games, a team record. Number 83, Dave Parks, had perhaps his best year as a Saint. He always made the tough catches, and his dependability was a major asset to the offense. Al Dodd, number 25, made several crucial catches in all of the Saints' victories, and once again returned kickoffs and punts. But he was nagged throughout the season by injury. Dodd's injuries gave rookie Bob Newland, number 41, the opportunity to gain valuable playing experience while proving himself to be an excellent wide receiver. Injury forced frequent realignment of the running backs, and several men performed well. Number 42, Jim Strong, in his second year, ended the season as the team's leading rusher. Number 35, Bob Gresham, clawed and twisted out enough yardage to be named the Saints' Rookie of the Year. Perhaps the best new back in 1971, though, was rookie Jim Ford, number 28, who was the leading rusher until he tore up his knee with 5 games to play. Newcomer Hoyle Granger, number 40, filled in with power runs. Rookie Virgil Robinson, number 47, added flat-out speed to the New Orleans backfield. Although punter Julian Fagan, number 10, did not lead the league as he did last year as a rookie, his punts nonetheless frequently kept the opposition in their own territory. Place kicker Charlie Durkee was a welcome addition in 1971. He finished the year with the second-best accuracy percentage in the league, hitting on 16 of 23 attempts. With 5 games under their belts, the youthful Saints had already generated a season full of surprises. In 1971, a youth-dominated defense yielded some yardage, but gained valuable experience. Third-year man Richard Neal, number 87, helped spearhead the defensive line with brutal speed and aggressiveness. This was the first full year in New Orleans for Joe Owens, number 72, but his style of play assured him it won't be his last. Rookie Bob Pollard, number 82, started at tackle and grew stronger with every game. Number 89, Dave Long, with 6 years' experience, was, incredibly, the oldest man on the defense. Several linebackers saw action in 1971. Number 55, Jim Flanagan, was a starter in the middle. Number 59, Wayne Coleman, anchored the right side. The left side was shared by Carl Cunningham, number 60, and Tom Roussel, number 54. Number 53, Dick Absher, battled injury all season, but finished as a starter. The Saints' defensive backfield is the youngest in football. Someday, it may be the finest. Hugo Holas, number 18, with 2 years' experience, was the team's free safety and perhaps its best defender. He was aided by another 2-year man, Dallas Howell, number 20, who was the Saints' interception leader. Doug Wyatt, number 23, also in his second year, used excellent speed to track down the ball. Rookie D'Artagnan Martin, number 22, was the remaining starter in the backfield. And although he made the usual rookie mistakes, he showed considerable progress as a cornerback. With the defense primed, the Saints were ready for yet another startling upset. After a rigorous and highly demanding training camp, head coach J.D. Roberts and the Saints were ready for opening day. The season's first game, played in New Orleans in newly resurfaced Tulane Stadium, matched rookie quarterback Archie Manning with old pro Roman Gabriel of the heavily favored and title-minded Los Angeles Rams. The New Orleans defense played brilliantly in the first half, consistently halting Ram drives and forcing mistakes. At the half, the teams were tied 3-3. Bob Gresham kept a drive alive in the third quarter with a miraculous catch. Then Archie Manning put the Saints in the lead with this pass to Dave Parks. Then the defense pressured Gabriel into another mistake, and Richard Neal's recovery set up Bob Gresham's short touchdown hop to give New Orleans a 17-3 lead. But the Rams methodically fought back, and with only a minute 24 remaining, they led 20-17, and it appeared as if they had managed to stave off a major upset. But Archie Manning was far from finished for the day. First, he hit Bob Gresham for a long gain. Then he connected with Danny Abramowitz to stop the clock with 35 seconds left. 2 plays later came a big break. Ram defender Jim Nettles was called for interference, setting the stage for an unbelievable finish. With first down on the 1, Jim Ford was unable to crack the Ram defense. Then Manning overthrew Abramowitz. Now 3 seconds were left. Time for one final play. As if it had been preordained, the final play belonged to Archie Manning. His slide around the Ram flank and into the end zone was hotly contested by Los Angeles, but it was genuine, and the young Saints had produced an epic upset. For Archie Manning, it was an heroic beginning. His entrance into the NFL was marked not by the usual frustration that shrouds a rookie quarterback, but rather by a resounding clap of thunder that startled all of pro football.
His name is Archie, and he came to save the South. They've written about him, sung about him, and worshipped him from afar. He was saintly long before he came to the Saints. He came to save New Orleans for young owner John Meekum and the NFL's youngest coach, 38-year-old J.D. Roberts. Manning, Meekum, and Roberts, 3 young men trying to forge a winner from the rubble of the last-place finish last year. The Saints would begin their quest against the league's oldest coach, Tommy Prothro. Oldest in years, youngest in tenure, for Prothro is an NFL rookie. When George Allen left the Rams, he took much of his great defense with him. Prothro was left with the Deacon and Merlin, but 2 linebackers are new, as is much of his secondary. Roman Gabriel still leads the offense with some new starters in key positions. But even with the shakeup, Prothro and his Rams were heavily favored to deal the Saints another opening day loss, as they have lost all previous openers. But 1971 is unlike any other year in New Orleans. It is the year of St. Archie. Gabriel, the Rams, and 70,000 Saint fans quickly found out that the Saints were for real in 1971, and that preseason is just that and no more. Though they were 0-6 in preseason, and their lineup includes 5 rookies among 13 new regulars, the New Orleans Saints opened their opener by completely stifling the Rams' veteran offense. Gabriel could do virtually nothing on the ground or through the air in the first half, being constantly pressured by a young front 4. In fact, neither team did well in the first half. Archie Manning had some success on the ground with number 35 rookie Bob Gresham and ex-Oiler Hoyle Granger, number 40. But most of the gains were short ones. The Rams' defense seemed as strong as it ever was, bolstered by cornerback Jim Nettles, number 19, to stop the sweeps. The first half saw the Rams' defense hold the Saints to 29 net yards offense, while the Saints held the Rams to just 70. Archie Manning, meanwhile, was having his problems in figuring out how to deal with the Rams' front line. He began to negate some of the foursome's sting early in the second period by calling for draws and screens, one of which went to tight end Dave Parks and helped set up the Saints' only score of the half, a field goal. But Manning spent most of the half on his back. He was sacked 6 times in the half, partly because of the fact that Archie Manning has no pockets. He sprints out and back so fast, there are no time for pockets. If you catch him, which the quick Ram lineman did, you catch him for a sizable loss before a play even develops. This happened 6 times in the half for minus 63 yards. But number 8 was far from through with the boys from Hollywood. Meanwhile, Roman Gabriel's act continued to bomb out. The Rams' problem was more one of carelessness than anything else. Key penalties would hurt them badly today, as would drop balls and fumbles, although the whistle blew this one dead before the loose ball. Gabriel was off target too. He was hitting them in the hands, his own receivers and the opponents. But he did set up a David Ray field goal that made it 3-3 at the half.
Spirituals standing on 3rd and 9 for New Orleans. Deacon Jones in pursuit. Manning with a perfect strike. And he gets the first down out across the 40-yard line. And Bob Wortman is the field judge. Jim Strong gets out across the 40-yard line and out for 5. For sure the Raiders didn't do theirs. Absolutely. They were a heavy favorite and did nothing. New England defense holding up. Look at that throw by Manning, rolling out to his left, a right-handed passer, the toughest pass in the game, and he's right on the money again. Now to help Nettles. Deep backs for Los Angeles are Elmendorf, Kermit Alexander. Nettles taking Abramowitz to the outside, and Alexander has him to the inside on the double coverage. Abramowitz makes the reception. He turned out on Nettles and is finally thrown down by Kermit Alexander. But not until he gains down inside the 20-yard line of Los Angeles. Ball tip time. McKeever's going for it. Somebody's got it. 2 men came down with the ball. Let's see what they rule. McKeever came down with it. It is now 3rd and goal from the 6 for New Orleans. Manning again on the sprint out. Merlin Olsen putting pressure on. Here's a pass to Parks for a touchdown. What a play. The Saints go 80 yards in 13 plays.
It's exactly what I was saying before, Don. He's delaying patterns on the goal line and very dangerous. Parks blocked, held a couple of counts. Of course, Manning practically lost his balance here. Came out in the sprint out, found Parks open, and Parks made a fantastic fingertip catch for the score.
So the Saints take the lead now, 9. As the Rams have an overload of wide receivers. Here's a fumble by Gabriel. It's recovered by New Orleans. Roman Gabriel could not control the ball after he took the snap from his center, Ken Iman. With a lone wide receiver in Abramowitz. He is set to the right. They have 2 tight ends in the game. They're challenging for their second touchdown. New Orleans leading 10-3. Archie Manning goes to fullback Bob Brush. 3rd and goal from the 2. Again, he goes straight ahead and carries in for a touchdown. Bob Gresham, who was just activated today. He's a rookie running back from West Virginia as New Orleans takes command of the game.
This is a quick trap here. You see number 50. The right guard, Jay Cupp, pulling and trapping a defensive tackle, and John Didion blocking back to create the hole. And, of course, Gresham just did the rest. Just walked right in the end zone with that bull-type power to put the Saints on the board.
With 5 minutes and 48 seconds left to play in the 3rd quarter. The score, the 4th quarter, in Los Angeles with the ball. Manning on 3rd and 10. Dan Abramowitz takes a perfectly thrown ball from Manning. A gain of 14 yards and a first down. On him all day. Has thrown him for losses 7 times. Straight back. Now he's on the run. Throws. He hits his man, Dan Abramowitz. Ready, you see the ball back. Drills the ball and completes it. Second and 10. Manning goes in a draw. Jim Strong carries and gets some running room. He's down inside the 40 and down to the 39-yard line. Now the Saints trying to go ahead again with Archie Manning directing the offense. Troy Bacon almost got him, and then he's finally thrown down by big Greg Wojcik. Gil Stratton. They'll be recapping all the scores of this first day of the 1971 NFL season. Right now, a 47-yard field goal attempt is wide to the right. Ray gets off, or Studstill rather, gets off a fine spiral. Pat Studstill's kick carries down to the 28. Here comes Reynaud Moore trying to go outside the Los Angeles pursuit. He cannot do so. And now, the Saint offensive unit goes out onto the field with... Left uncovered as the Rams drop back in deep coverage. New Orleans goes for the ball and is almost intercepted by Kermit Alexander. Again, straight up the middle goes to Hoyle Granger, and he carries down inside the 25, an 8-yard gain on the play. The clock is running, 53 seconds left. New Orleans has one more timeout. They've not used it as Manning is waiting now. They're going to try to get the ball, of course, into the end zone for a touchdown. But if not, they'll keep it centered so they can get a field goal shot to tie the game. Manning on a sprint out. Bramowitz is there. He makes the reception at the 13-yard line. Goes out about. The Rams dig in a 7-man front. 2nd and 8. Manning looks. He throws. He has a man open. There's a penalty marker down against Nettles. It'll be 1st and goal for New Orleans. Is running now. The Los Angeles Rams are slow on piling as the New Orleans Saints are out of timeouts. There'll be a penalty called against the Rams if they delay it too long. 8 seconds. 7 seconds. Manning coolly drops back. Looks, he throws. Too long. It would have been a touchdown. But there's 3 seconds left, and the Saints are at point-blank range for a field goal. Going to go to win. This play decides the game. Manning sprinting out. Manning is in for the touchdown. He fumbles the ball. No, he is in for the touchdown. As soon as he touched down, the ball was dead. Boy, that's a display of guts football. I stand here and I salute J.D. Roberts and the New Orleans Saints. That takes guts. That takes a lot of courage to do that. There's 26 teams in the National Football League, and I ask you how many coaches would go for that play when they have a chance to tie the Los Angeles Rams with 3 seconds left. On the last play of the game, they go for a win, and they get it. Manning hit into the end zone. As soon as he touched down, no matter what happens to the ball, it can...
This is a Hollywood script. One man, and only one, would carry the ball now. And he carried it 1 yard and 1 yard only. 1 yard to immortality. Of course, Archie was not the real story in the Saints' incredible victory. A team that experts said might not win a game all year had hung together, all of them, for 60 minutes, inspired by their youthful coach and inspired by their own ability, which others had doubted. For rookie coach Tommy Prothro, it was a heartbreaking debut from which he must have learned much. All in all, a wild ending to a season's beginning which seems limitless in its possibilities. After all, when an Indian kid from New England and a country boy from Louisiana lead their teams to victories on opening day, all eyes will be on the NFL in 1971.
The San Francisco 49ers came to town the following week and were forced to witness a magnificent display by Danny Abramowitz, who caught 3 long touchdown passes, 1 from Ed Hargett and 2 from Archie Manning, to give the Saints hope for another shocking upset. But in the end, the 49ers defense proved too strong, forcing too many mistakes, and San Francisco left town with a 38-20 triumph.
The Saints had upset hero Archie Super Manning, and the New Orleans faithful were breathless with anticipation. Early in the first quarter, the Saints' offensive line gave Manning a reasonable amount of time to pass. Archie found tight end Dave Parks for sizable gains, and the Saints moved deep into San Francisco territory. Archie Manning's replacement, Ed Hargett, passed to Dan Abramowitz in the end zone, and the 49er lead was cut to 14-7 at the half. Two more touchdowns to the gritty 5-year receiver from Xavier, the 17th round choice in the Saints' first season, and now a man who has caught more passes in the past 4 seasons than anyone else in pro football.
The Saints made their first regular season appearance in the Houston Astrodome the following week. Early in the first quarter, Danny Abramowitz somehow ended up with an Archie Manning pass, and his touchdown gave New Orleans the lead. Then Oiler quarterback Charlie Johnson hitched up with Charlie Joyner for a long touchdown that knotted the score at 10-10. Houston went ahead 13-10 with less than a minute left. But Archie Manning, scrambling madly, looking for a way to avoid defeat, completed 3 straight passes to open the door for place kicker Charlie Durkee. With 9 seconds left, Durkee gave the Saints a 13-13 tie.
In Houston, the winless Oilers were supposed to get crude with the New Orleans Saints, and the Saints, of course, were supposed to turn the other cheek. But J.D. Roberts has told his novice Saints to go out, get all you can, get experienced, and have a ball. Number 46, Danny Abramowitz, took his coach literally. And the first time they had the ball, the Saints put 7 on the board. But after that intro, New Orleans could do nothing for an encore. In a game filled with mistakes that didn't count, Archie Manning was officially intercepted only twice. This one by number 25, John Charles, and number 19, Ken Houston, covered his subsequent mistake. The bullish plunges of number 38, Tony Baker, eventually put the Saints in field goal range, making the score 10-3. But late in the game, Houston tied the score on this Charlie Johnson to Charlie Joyner 70-yard pass and run. And with 59 seconds remaining in the game, Houston forced a lead on a 44-yard field goal by Mark Mosley. But Archie is the man the Saints have come to depend on. 3 quick completions brought the goalpost in range. and Charlie Durkee, an ex-Saint cast-off kicker, stepped forward to do the honors. Durkee's 37-yarder tied the surprising knot at 13, and the Saints did not lose, and the Oilers did not win, as usual, surprisingly.
The Saints next traveled to Chicago for a meeting with the brutal Bears. Hoyle Granger scored on a perfectly executed play, but his touchdown was not enough as a gallant second-half rally fell short. The alert Bears found too many ways to score and won 35-14.
Dent the Bears defense, which had not allowed more than 2 touchdowns in a game. The Saints had some success, but not nearly enough. When Hoyle Granger scored in the 4th quarter, it was to be the Saints' second and last touchdown.
New Orleans dramatically bounced back the following week against the Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys. Danny Abramowitz didn't have to go far out of his way to get on television, but he undoubtedly did not like the exposure. The Saints defense played their best game to date and held the powerful Cowboy offense completely in check for the entire first half. The defense intercepted 2 Craig Morton passes, but more importantly, they took away the long bomb that Dallas had been so successful with in the past. The Saint offense also played brilliantly, with Archie Manning scrambling, confusing the Dallas defense. Tony Baker's catch gave New Orleans its first touchdown. Then Al Dodd took a short Dallas field goal on his own 8-yard line and returned it 77 yards to pave the way for yet another New Orleans score. Archie Manning's scramble resulted in a 17-0 lead over the bedazzled Cowboys. But Dallas staged a second-half comeback, and by late in the 4th quarter, they had narrowed the gap to 17-14. And they were in prime position to go ahead when the Saints were forced to punt with only 1 minute 52 seconds left. But Julian Fagan's punt slipped out of Dallas' hands and into the hands of Dave Copay, who ended up on the 2-yard line. 3 plays later, Archie Manning closed the lid on Dallas. And incredibly, the Saints had masterminded another phenomenal upset. Despite sustaining an injury that would plague him for the rest of the year, Archie Manning once again had been the catalyst. By this point in the season, the Saints' 2-2-1 record was the biggest surprise in all of football.
Tried 2 quarterbacks. Archie Manning, number 8, was the key to the Saints' success. Another hero named Archie had Betty, Veronica, and Jughead to help him. Archie Manning had a young defense and a lot of heart on his side. And last Sunday, he continued his quest to become King of the South. He left them gasping with his opening day miracle against the Rams, and again today, he would leave them with their tongues hanging out. I'm Bob Delaney, and this is the NFL Game of the Week. Hugo Hollis was the man who stole Morton's errant throw, and the Saints' defense had quickly dug themselves out of a deep divot. This time, Archie's offense fared better. On this series, Manning disdained the run altogether and went at the Cowboys' only supposed weakness, their pass defense. After hitting Abramowitz, Manning rolled right, avoided a tackler, and fired on the run for setback Tony Baker. Somehow the ball found its way through 3 defenders, and the Saints had a touchdown. Another look at the score showed that Manning used 2 nice play fakes, then rolled right, avoided the lunging Larry Cole, then threw. Herb Adderley missed the interception, and Baker was home free. The Saints led the Cowboys 7-0. Again was burned. His sideline pass was timed perfectly by Dallas Howell, number 20. And 60 yards later, Howell had the Saints on the Cowboys' 9. The Saints secondary had done it again. Howell, Hollis, Renew Moore, and D'Artagnan Martin, the 4 Musketeers. Howell is one of 3 football brothers. His brother Mike plays for the Browns, and his brother Lane played for the Eagles. Archie Manning wanted to quickly widen his lead, but he found the Doomsday defense ready, willing, and able to foil his plan. The Saints had to settle for a 29-yard field goal from Charlie Durkee and a 10-0 lead with 12 minutes left in the half. Settling for a field goal is normally nothing to cheer about, but down in New Orleans, the cheerleaders haven't had that much opportunity to do their number, and they did it. One of the main reasons the Saints were on front by 10 was their ability to contain the field goal from the 50 by Mike Clark. Number 25, receiver Al Dodd, took the short attempt and loped 77 yards on a remarkable return before he tired and his knees buckled at the Cowboys' 15. The Saints once again had made the big play, and Archie Manning followed Dodd's act with a virtuoso performance of his own. St. Archie had scrambled his way into the end zone and into his fans' hearts. The Saints were on their way to one of the biggest upsets in their short history, and the first half ended with the Saints shockingly ahead of the mighty Dallas Cowboys, 17-0. Watch number 87, Richard Neal, strip Garrison of the ball. New Orleans had the ball on their own 19, and Dallas remained scoreless. Dallas's Charlie Waters mishandled the fair catch. John Schinner recovered for New Orleans on the 49, and in a game of errors, it was the Saints' turn to catch a break. The punter's kick traveled 44 yards, but high enough to allow the Saints to converge on Cliff Harris and knock the ball loose. Dave Cope, playing in his first game as a Saint, recovered for the Saints and took it to the 2-yard line. Incredibly, New Orleans had forced another turnover. This one, a second punt return fumble. The whole stadium went wild. Like he had done to the Rams on opening day, Manning applied the clincher himself. His touchdown increased the Saints' lead to an insurmountable 10 points with only 47 seconds remaining in the ballgame. As Archie Manning walked back to the New Orleans bench, he received a standing ovation from 83,088 hysterical fans who saw a rookie quarterback continue the legendary feats of his college career by beating one of the NFL's finest teams. But even as the crowd cheered Archie Manning and photographers surrounded him on the bench, the real stars of this game were doing their thing on the field. New Orleans' swarming, opportunistic defense added insult to injury to Dallas. On the final play of the game, Dallas Howell stole his second pass of the day to end it all for the Cowboys. The final score of this stunning upset, New Orleans 24, Dallas 14. The loss dropped the Cowboys' record to a mediocre 3-2, and more importantly, put them further behind the soaring Redskins in the NFC Eastern Division. Dallas has been uncharacteristically mistake-prone in their games, and this, coupled with Tom Landry's indecision regarding his quarterback situation, hasn't helped the Cowboy cause. The Saints have no such qualms at quarterback. Their leader is unquestionably Archie Manning, and while some rough days undoubtedly lie ahead, he and his teammates now enjoy an even .500 record. Today's great victory put them there. But even after both teams left the field, some drama remained. Tune in next week, folks, and learn whether or not Saints defensive tackle Dan Goich recovered his contact lenses.
The season's sixth game marked perhaps the Saints' poorest performance of the year, as the Atlanta Falcons gained a 28-6 win. Ex-Saint Billy Kilmer led the rebuilt Redskins against New Orleans the following week. A super effort by the Skins' defense stymied the Saints 24-14. New Orleans next hosted the powerful Oakland Raiders in another game that surprised the football world. The Raiders raced into the lead with a pass from Darryl LaMonica to Fred Biletnikoff. They increased their lead to 14-0 when Pete Banaszak scored. But Jim Strong made it 14-7 with this run. Then in the fourth quarter, the Raiders went ahead 21-7, but the Saints quickly scored to only trail by 7. Then, with 36 seconds left, Ed Hargett went to work. First, he hit Dave Parks for 21 yards. And then, with only 13 seconds left, he found Parks one more time, and the Saints had managed to tie the Raiders 21-21. Once again, New Orleans had produced a shocker.
In New Orleans, the Saints' field goal attempt became a fake which fooled everyone, including themselves. And despite the fact that Ed Hargett completed the pass, the Saints were in big trouble. They were up against the ever-dangerous Oakland Raiders. Even Archie Manning was no match for the cobra-quick Oakland secondary. Meanwhile, the Raider offense was, as usual, that sterling silver and black combination of LaMonica to Fred Biletnikoff. When Ed Hargett replaced Manning, he quickly caught up with Archie in one category of the passing department, thanks to number 43, George Atkinson. And then Pete Banaszak boiled over behind number 64, George Beeler, and ho-hum, it was Oakland 14, New Orleans nothing in the third period. But the Saints were far from finished as Ed Hargett led them on a land-grabbing expedition. The yards came tough, but the payoff was worthwhile. Number 42, Jim Strong, brought the Saints to within 14-7 as he slipped into a big hole and then on into the end zone. The Raiders countered with their old standby, Darryl to Fred. Simple but effective, as Fred was quick to point out to number 22, D'Artagnan Martin. But the Saints were reluctant to wither. They scored on a 2-yarder, and on the ensuing kickoff came up with a big break. And then, once again, Ed Hargett led them on a ground-gobbling sortie. And with just 13 seconds left in the game, Hargett hit Dave Parks in the end zone to tie it at 21 all. For the Saints, it was a moral victory. For the Raiders, it was their second tie in a row, which, of course, is like kissing your sister when she's got the mumps.
As the Saints traveled to San Francisco, they were given little hope against the title-bound 49ers. When John Brody looped a short pass to Vic Washington, the Saints found themselves trailing 10-0 in the first quarter. But Ed Hargett got his team back in the game with its 39-yard strike to ex-49er Dave Parks. Trailing now 10-7, the Saints' defense came alive and turned the momentum around. With 3 seconds left in the half, they halted a 49er drive on the 1-yard line, and San Francisco went to the locker room with a sudden realization that their expected victory might not pan out. The Saints took over the lead in the third quarter. Jim Strong, another ex-49er, broke free around left end for 39 yards to set up Ed Hargett's picture pass to Danny Abramowitz. But the play was nullified by an offensive interference penalty. So 2 plays later, Hargett tossed another touchdown pass, this one to Dave Parks. The Saints now led 19-13, but San Francisco took the lead with only 2 minutes remaining. There was still time, though, for Ed Hargett. First, he passed to Al Dodd for a gain of 47 yards. Then he threw to Virgil Robinson for what proved to be the winning touchdown. Although New Orleans led 26-20, the 49ers still had one more chance to win. But Hugo Holas put an end to their dreams with this interception. Incredibly, the Saints had done it again. They had worked another miracle.
On Sunday, the 49ers thought of the Saints as a punching bag or a sparring partner. Something that wouldn't hit back, but would help sharpen their skills for their showdown with the Rams. Number 22, Vic Washington, returned the opening kickoff 66 yards, and New Orleans looked like an easy bone to chew on for the title-bound prospectors. Everything looked so simple. There was graceful Gene Washington making another one of his incredible routine catches. Then there was the old pro John Brody using play action and isolating swift Vic Washington on a linebacker for a score. There it all was, 1 field goal and 1 touchdown and an early 10-0 49er lead. There it all was again, another Ted Kwolek sticky-fingered catch. But there it all went as the doormats began to do the stomping. Suddenly, both teams' roles reversed as quarterback Ed Hargett slipped a pass to Dave Parks, and the big tight end resurrected the greatness he used to display in the glory years with these same 49ers. Now the punching bag was hitting back as number 42 Jim Strong slipstreamed through the wake created by perfect blocking. Then Hargett went over the top of the San Francisco secondary and speared Danny Abramowitz for the apparent go-ahead score. When a penalty denied the score, Hargett coolly found Parks running free again, and it was an uncontested touchdown. Trailing 19-13 in the final period, San Francisco regained the lead on Brody's second touchdown pass to Vic Washington. Behind by a point with just over 2.5 minutes to go, New Orleans marshaled a final victory drive. First, Hargett connected with Al Dodd, who scooted 49 yards down the sidelines. With just over a minute to play, Hargett hooked up with rookie Virgil Robinson, and the Cinderella Saints took the lead 26-20. There were no more miracles left in Brody's arm as Hugo Holas snuffed out the 49ers' final chance. For the Saints, it was another stunning upset. For San Francisco, it was a step backwards in their timetable for a championship.
The defense again played well against the powerful Central Division champion Vikings the following week. But Minnesota's awesome defenders forced too many offensive miscues, and they left town with a 23-10 triumph.
In New Orleans, the Pro Show does very well with scantily clad twirlers and high steppers in a Circus Maximus atmosphere. But this year, there's a new ingredient, the exciting Saints, with or without Archie. Both offensively and defensively, the Saints hit for 60. Watch number 72, Mighty Joe Owens, lay a greeting on Minnesota quarterback Bob Lee. .63 Minnesota advantage. D'Artagnan Martin interrupted a faltering Minnesota drive with this interception, putting the point-hungry Minnesota defense back in business.
The Saints' final win came the following week against the Green Bay Packers in Milwaukee. Donnie Anderson's short touchdown put the Pack ahead, but a record 5 Charlie Durkee field goals kept New Orleans in the lead. This pass to Danny Abramowitz was nullified by a penalty for the second time in 3 weeks. But the play that killed the Packers, an assured victory, was provided by Doug Wyatt. The Saints won 29-21. They were now ready to head home, ready to witness a tremendous welcoming by the New Orleans fans. They jammed the airport to greet owner John Meekum and his surprising team. They were justifiably proud of Coach J.D. Roberts and the 40 men who wore the Saints uniform. This was a team that was supposed to be rebuilding, a team that was given little hope at the beginning of the season. But it was also a team that had found a way to win while learning.
The meat was in the fire in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and Packer fans were happy because the meat was thick. The easy Saints were in town, the Pack was favored, and best of all, Bart Starr was back. The wise old field general had been out all season, and his return was sure to spark a renaissance. But the Saints are a hungry young ball club, and to them, Bart Starr was nothing more than the main course. 6 times New Orleans' hustling defense forced Green Bay turnovers, and 5 times Charlie Durkee kicked field goals for the Saints. Starr's only measure of success came on this pass to number 81, Rich McGeorge, whose catch and run set up a touchdown by number 44, Donnie Anderson. But the Saints' lead ballooned to 19-7 as quarterback Ed Hargett coolly picked apart the Packer defense. Running back Bob Gresham, number 35, was the big gainer in a drive which led to a 1-yard touchdown plunge. Only New Orleans wide receiver Bob Newland, number 41, seemed capable of stopping the Saints, and his not-quite-perfect block on Packer linebacker Jim Carter was the only thing that kept Gresham from going all the way. But nothing could keep number 25, Dave Hampton, from going all the way. Hampton's 90-yard touchdown brought the Packers to within 8 points at 22-14. And things began to go the Green Bay way when a Hargett to Dan Abramowitz touchdown pass was called back for holding. But the Saints have spent many lean years, and in their hunger this year, they don't let the close ones slip away. Late in the fourth quarter, Scott Hunter's pass was picked off by number 23, Doug Wyatt, who went 55 yards for the score. And so Green Bay's third quarterback of the afternoon, Zeke Bratkowski, took over. But his 60-yard pass and run to Rich McGeorge was too little meat too late in the day as New Orleans went on to win the fourth of the season, 29-21.
The Saints met the Rams in the season's 12th game. Their hopes incredibly still alive for a Western Division championship. But the day belonged to number 33, Willie Ellison, who set a new rushing record with 247 yards. Although the Saints battled back from a 35-7 deficit, the Rams emerged with a 45-28 victory.
Bench number 14, Ed Hargett, kept the Saints alive by directing 4 touchdown drives. But each time
the Saints closed out the season with 2 very narrow losses. The Cleveland Browns saw Virgil Robinson score on a pitch-out to give New Orleans a 10-7 halftime lead. And the Browns saw Jim Strong increase the lead in the second half. But the Cleveland defense forced a fumble from Archie Manning that resulted in a touchdown and a 21-17 victory.
Cleveland began a slapstick sequence that left the Saints close, but with no cigar. Number 47, Virgil Robinson, controlled the free-floating football and swept into the end zone for the Saints' first touchdown. And late in the fourth period, Archie Manning initiated a 4-play scoring drive. Jim Strong punched past some good blocks and scored the Saints' second touchdown. And a third touchdown came when Turkey Jones gobbled Archie up, leaving the ball loose for Walter Johnson to fall on in the end zone. The Browns prevailed despite a sloppy game, 21-17.
New Orleans lost their final game to the Atlanta Falcons in the last seconds. But Archie Manning ended the season in much the same way he had begun it, with a spectacular performance. The Saints led 2017 with 40 seconds left, but Bob Berry threw a strike, and Atlanta won 24-20.
Every time the New Orleans Saints take the field to play the Atlanta Falcons, civil war breaks out on the gridiron. This time, the upstart Saints had rookie quarterback Archie Manning, number 8, to lead them, and although he's had an injury-laden season, he was at peak efficiency for the Falcons. One of the reasons Manning has been injured this year are plays like this, but trying to convince a scrambling quarterback to stay in the pocket is futile. If scrambling gains yards, then it's hard to fault, and Archie Manning gained yards on Sunday. Falcon coach Norm Van Brocklin has called the Saints the most improved team in football, and Manning is certainly at least partially responsible for that statement. This play resulted in a 6-yard touchdown and a 7-point third-quarter lead for the Saints. New New Orleans scored again when Bob Gresham flew off tackle to set the stage for a come-from-behind Atlanta victory. And then with 40 seconds left, the Falcons won the game as Barry hit Ken Burrow for a 22-yard touchdown and a close 24-20 win.
"1971 was a year of stunning achievement for the New Orleans Saints and their head coach J.D. Roberts and his staff. It was a year that had begun with no promise of victory and little realistic hope to win, but one that ended with the Saints having acquired the potential to become consistent winners. It was a year when the ugly, rough edge of inexperience was beautifully and gracefully molded into a hard-earned respectability.